Hey everybody, Spider here, Coming Soon Podcast, of course, coming to you once again here in San Antonio, Texas, being joined by another local here in San Antonio, man, Marcos Davila. Sir, how are you doing, bro?
I'm doing blessed. How you doing, brother?
Man, blessed. I like that, man. Same here, man. Same here. I'm tired, but I'm definitely blessed. You know, it's like I tell people, the day I don't feel anything, man, it's the day I know I'm in trouble, brother.
Absolutely.
But of course, man. Born and raised here in San Antonio.
Yes, sir. I was born here in San Antonio. I stayed here until I graduated. After that, I left to the Navy. First place they shipped me to is Chicago for boot camp, and Chicago winters are brutal. So this summer skin, oh man, it was in. I felt it just out of place. Chicago's a fantastic city, but way too cold for me, and the wind there is just brutal. Beautiful city though, beautiful just the downtown area. And when I got a chance to spend a little bit of time in the city, it was just it's an awesome city.
Yeah, bro. No, man, I've been to Atlanta. One time we went out there for work for like a month and a half, man. But it was like they worked us straight, so we had like no downtime, you know. But made good money. But it's just by the time we left, we were like, man, we're trying to hit up stores on the way out. You know, it was
Yeah,
crazy. But yeah, man. Been here in San Antonio most of my life. You know, I moved to Florida for a few years, but the same thing, man. It was hot as heck. You know, it wasn't no cold out there, bro. I think winter was like 100 and something. You know, it's nice though, man. Definitely like
yeah.
it.
I went to
Yeah.
A school in Pensacola, and I was there for about a year and a couple months, and it was summer all year. We went to the beach, and just to chill every day because it was boring. The
Yeah.
the town, it's a real laid back town. It's a big town, and it's just you have these military bases there, and the Navy ones are the biggest ones, and it's just you get bored of being on base, and so you just go chill out there, and you get a chance to just listen to those waves lapping on the water, and walking out to the first and second sandbar. You just it's a feeling of just complete serenity. For me, I'm a Cancer, so I love being by the water.
Right
And
here, boy. Right here.
hey,
Brother.
ya sabes. So I was telling my wife a couple of days ago. She was like, "Man, you take so long when you're showering and when you're bathing." And I'm like, "You don't get it. Like I'm a crab. It's like
There
the
you
water
go.
is peaceful to me. I could just be sitting in it. Like one day I'm gonna have a nice little hot tub that I could chill in after work. But for right now, it's my bathtub."
No, you know what, man? I've never thought about the whole crap thing, dude. That's crazy you said that because, like, for me, man, I as a kid, I almost drowned twice, bro. Not that it's a good thing, but Necio, you know, my mom, hey, don't get close to the edge, and there I go, you know, and one of the times that I remember when the current took me was like, man, I was at peace. I was
Yeah,
like literally like going through the stream, and
yeah.
luckily my older brother and another guy that was there jumped in and dragged me out. And I remember them pulling me out and then thinking like, man, that was like so peaceful, man. It was just, I mean, luckily nothing else happened, you know. But yeah, I've always loved the water, man. I love swimming. I love being in it. You know, Florida was definitely a treat. You know, it's
Yeah.
just I found out what they call it, a retirement state, bro. There's nothing going on out there, bro.
Yeah, your heart rate slows down when you get there, and it's chill. I'll tell you a story. When I was a kid, maybe 4 or 5 years old, my parents would go to these Tejano dances, and I'd tag along. And back then, it was huge. They would have it at these parks, and I remember a little bit of it, but I remember that there was a fountain, and I was walking around the fountain. My parents were close by, and I fell in the fountain looking for trying to get to the frog. Well, the water was deeper than I was, and so everybody's freaking out. And I don't know how long I was there, but I know after they had to pump the water out of me, and
Wow,
the
bro.
my mom tells me, she says, "Man, when we ran over there, because we hear everybody yelling and pointing over there, and we look for you and we couldn't find you. Your dad runs over there and he sees that you're in the water and you're just looking up at him with your eyes, just with this peaceful gaze." And it was the exact same feeling that I feel like that you had. It's just serenity in the water, and
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
I wasn't ready to go by any means, but my
Exactly.
dad, he dipped in, he ruined his elephant boots, and it got me out, and I'll never forget it because 'cause those boots were pretty pretty awesome, and he's reminded me through the years, like, don't, and you be close by the water, Cabrón. Don't you forget my elephant boots are ruined
Yeah.
saving your ass. So
Man, that's crazy, man. But yeah, man. I love it, man. I mean, I definitely my youngest, the same thing, man. She, um, me and mom separated when she was 4, and of course the apartment they lived in, they had a pool. So
Yeah.
I remember one day I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna pick him up." She had to go to work, so I stayed there. They were like, "They want to go swimming." I was like, "Okay," and I'll take him to the pool.
Yeah.
And I remember being in there and my youngest being like, "Dad, look!" And she just jumped in the water, man. I was like, "What the heck, dude?" And my oldest is like, I'm over here panicking, and
Yeah.
my oldest is like, "Dad, she does that. She's okay. She does that every day." And I'm like, "Man." So, but yeah, that one scared me, bro. I was like, "Dang," I could have imagined what my parents felt like, man. But
Yeah.
bro, I mean, here in San Antonio, man, what this school district did you go to?
So I grew up in, I went to a couple of different elementaries, but my dad, he sold cars. So I skipped around for a couple elementaries, and then we stayed in the Delview area. So I
Okay.
went to Delview and Jackson Middle School. I went to Lee High School for my first 2 years. And I just, to be honest, I loved playing sports. I loved being there, but I was involved in the wrong crowds, so
Right.
I had to get out of there. Just to be honest, I turned into a little necio, a
Yeah.
little cabron, and
Oh yeah.
I didn't have any older brothers to teach me the way. I just kind of, knuckleheaded it, and luckily my parents called one of my cousins, and they said, "Hey, y'all live in the Marshall district. Let's see if we can get Marcus to stay over there." And my aunt and uncle took me in. I moved in with them. I went to Marshall and ended up finishing my high school out of there.
Oh man. That's funny you say that, man, because that's how I ended up in Florida, bro. my,
Yeah,
my mom was like, "You're gonna go move with your sisters, man," because I was getting a whole heap of trouble, man. So, luckily she did, because, I mean, it's just the way, the direction I was heading in life, man. I probably wouldn't be here, honestly. It's crazy, but
yeah,
she sent me out there, and all I did out there was work, and it did change my view in life, just because I was like, man, there's more than just San Antonio, man. I was so like, oh, the city and this, and I'm like, bro, it's like compared to the universe, man, we ain't nothing. It's just a little speck in the galaxy, should we say? But
yeah. It's there's levels to the game, right? Like I think when we would well, mom, sorry, but when we would skip out at Lee, we would go to Burger King, McDonald's by Edison, Sonic, and then forgive me, mom. When we would skip out a little bit at Marshall, these guys were like, "Hey, let's go pick up the boat. Let's pick up the jet skis. Let's go to Medina Lake." Yeah, so it was like, yeah, exactly. Just there's levels to the game, right?
yeah,
And it just showed me that I needed to apply myself honestly better. That there's better things in life, and you got to work for it. The parents of these kids, they had, both of them were working, both of them had awesome jobs. They went to college. It was just something inspiring, honestly. So I did my best to learn from these people and get a chance to really appreciate the experience of life.
no, no, for sure, man. Yeah, bro. I mean, for me, my dad passed away when I was in high school, man, and so that was a big change in the way we lived. Just because my mom, who was a stay-home mom her whole life, my dad provided. He was a working stiff, man. Worked himself to death, literally. I mean, it's just. But when he passed away, mom went to work, and for us, it was just like, man, like my friends would be like, "Hey, tomorrow we're gonna skip out," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm just not waking up, dude. I'm gonna stay asleep." I was working during high school, so
Yeah.
it was one of those where my mom would like, "Hey, are you going to school today?" And I'm like, "No, I gotta work later." She'd be like, "Okay,"
You
I mean,
skipped
it
up.
was just one of those things, man. But I didn't get to graduate, bro. I'll say that much. I did. I got out the last year, my junior year, man. It just got bad. Decided to go ahead and get my GED. Pulled out, took my exam that week of, and that was one of the things that I was taking like a business course, and I was just like, man, I gotta get out of here, man. So I asked my teacher. He used to be our coach in middle school, man, Coach Vera. I still remember that name.
Yeah.
I told him, and I said, "Hey, man, can I step out for a minute?" And he's like, "What's going on?" And I said, "Man, I'm gonna drop out." And he's like, "What?" Like, "Nah, man." And he tried to talk me out of it, and he's like, "What do your parents think?" And I said, "Well, man, that's not there no more." And I mean, basically, we have to, I have to provide help the family and all that other good stuff, man. And he was just like, "Hey, man, just promise me, man. Promise you'll get your GED, man, and at least, And I did. The week of, I signed up, and by no means was I a dumb kid, man. I was actually pretty smart compared to a lot of people, bro. Like my junior year, back then when I was in high school, it's just the way people dressed. They were wearing Guess and Jabos and all these name brands, and right away I
Tommy
get
Hilfiger, yeah.
yeah, and but for me it was like, oh man, they're wearing all this good clothes. Like they must. I guess I'm mistaken that for them being smart kids.
Yeah.
And my junior year, I actually had I needed a credit for math, and I said, you know what, man, they wanted to put me in calculus, and I said, you know what, I don't want to do all that, man. I said, I've done algebra 2. I said, I'm good. Let me just get a credit. So they were like, you know what, we have FOM. And I was like, what's FOM? And they were like, it's fundamentals, man. It's nothing. And I said, you know what, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, and I'm glad I did, bro, because they showed us how, our bank accounts, the percentage ratios. I mean, just everything in life that we needed, But
Yeah.
kids that I knew that I thought were like smarter than me were like copying off me, bro. And I'm like seriously, like this is like the simplest thing. And so, but yeah, that made me feel good. But of course, I ended up dropping out, man. I mean, got out of there. But after that, it was just work and living life, man. So no regrets, man. I wish things would have been different, but it's just the times the way they happened. It just I just felt like I had nowhere else to go. I could have stayed in school and just had my mom provide for us.
Yeah.
There were quite a few of us, man. There was like 8 in the family. Four olders were already out of the house, but the other 4, it just didn't see fair. So I said, you know what, I'll go ahead and keep working, went full time. But man, I mean that's for about me, bro. But yourself, man. I mean, when it comes to making your directorial debut, man, this is why I have you here. The American Coyote, man. Tell us. I mean, just the name itself strikes a lot of. For me personally, it hits home because I here in San Antonio, man. I mean, I knew family members that were snuck in or came through, because they were illegal, man. A lot of them came through and moved up north and went to work, So where does that hit home for you, man? Is that something that you grew up around that you kind of like, okay, you know what? There's a story behind all this?
First, I want to say I apologize for you losing your father, and
Thank you.
congratulations for stepping up because that's something that it isn't a given, and not a lot of people do, bro. And you did, and I'm proud of you, and I know that your family is and your dad is. But I mean, just to segue into the film, yeah, like I'm American and born here in San Antonio, Texas, but I feel my heart is Mexican. My grandfather was born in Monterrey, my grandparents, and I would go and live over there the summers when I was maybe 8 9 years old till I was about 13. And honestly, that's what changed my life. He was a pretty wealthy man in Mexico. He was a flooring contractor, and he had a house here and over there, and he would go and do work over there. And our neighbors were extremely poor. They had dirty water, and those were two of my best friends. And we'd go play soccer in the streets, and then I'd go and walk home, and I'd be able to eat. We had air conditioned in the house, We had a refrigerator. They didn't. And when I'd go and hang out over there, you'd see the difference: dirt floors. And when we go to the store, I'd get what I could for them, and I didn't really understand poverty, honestly, when I came back, because I'd tell my parents, hey, like why is Mexico like that? Why is it so different? And they couldn't really answer me in a way that I could understand till I was an adult. The
Right.
opportunity for advancement in Mexico is just it's not the same naturally as here. And the Mexican people are super proud. That's something that I'm sure you can relate to, and we're not going to be ones to just lie down when something difficult is coming in our life. And they've been traveling over here for work, traveling up north and doing some of the most difficult jobs, for less pay. And while people are, degrading them during the day and talking about them on the news, presidents trying to kick them out.
All right.
And I haven't always felt the way that I would say I do now. I say when I was a kid, I had a lot of love for Mexico, and then when I joined the Navy, it kind of gave me a distorted view where I felt more American, honestly, than I did Mexican.
Right.
I joined 9 days after 9/11, and I felt the calling. I heard this bell ring when I saw the towers fall, and I felt like I can't just sit here. I want to go and fight for my country. I want to do what I can. So I went, took my ASVAB. I got a job as a cryptologic technician. We worked on top secret stuff for the Navy, and I was in honors courses from maybe sixth grade through high school. So I felt like I'm a bright individual, but I got suspended. I'd be in fights, so I was a knucklehead too. I just hung out with the wrong crowd, and I allowed them to influence me. So now I want to do the opposite, and I want to influence people and get a chance to show them that the people coming across, they're not all bad. That some of them have been through experiences that we'll never be able to, you know, realize until I show it to them in this film. Um, Not only are Mexicans coming, now Central Americans, South Americans, Indians, Chinese, everybody's coming through.
Everybody, man.
And yeah, I feel like we have to find a way to citizenize these people, to get these people to buy into the American culture, not just remain this caste
Yeah.
under the Americans. And I really feel like that's what I'm trying to tell in this story is a fictional story of Ephraim. Ephraim is living in Mexico in poverty, and something happens where he has to leave, and his family he gets a chance to come up to the United States and get separated from his family, and the cartel raise him. They raise him, and the only chances he has at survival are fight or flight, and this dude can't run anywhere, so it's fight, fight, fight for
Right.
survival, and he ends up becoming the most notorious trafficker in the film, the American Coyote.
Oh
He
man.
spends so much time in America bringing people over and bring that everybody calls him the American Coyote. So
Yeah, bro. And of course, I mean, let me ask you because this is you wrote this movie.
yes,
Okay, and when it comes to writing, man, I mean, was that something that like in middle school, high school, were you always writing something? I mean,
yeah, I've always been a dreamer, to be honest, and uh, fantasy books have always held a close tie in my heart, and I guess it's because you get a chance to tell the story your way without a budget, so you get a chance to use your complete imagination and just drive with it out every which way, and then bring it all together so that you can present it to the public. And it's a fun experience. I love writing, I love reading, and I'm very controlling with my art. I if I allow something or someone to come on, is because I feel like, man, like y'all have something to offer me, and we can both move forward with this. But
I
I
like that,
also feel like I'm talented, and I got some stories to tell that the people I think will appreciate.
man. And of course, these stories are going to turn into movies, right? I mean, we're going to be able to see them.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna be writing rewriting books later on, but right now screenwriting and screenplays is my focus. I have a couple films that we're working on right now. We got the American Coyote in production. We're wrapping that up in a couple months. We have another one coming from my wife, Sabrina Trevino. She'll be directing that one, and I'm just assisting every way I can. We both started Lions Act together. She's the president, I'm the vice president, and she's a Los Angeles film school alumni, and she's taught me everything that I know about film. So I have my life experiences, and we put it together, and we go one and one. So my feature film, she's helped me out on, and next is hers. It's called No One Cries for David. It's a true crime story about David Childress and the matricide murder,
Man.
and it happened here in San Antonio, where he killed his mother. And we got a chance to. My wife Sabrina went to school with him. She wrote him maybe
Oh,
3 years ago. Yeah, and she said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, yada yada yada." And I'll just cut it short, but he gave us permission to share his story, full movie rights, book rights, and
bro.
Sabrina's in pre-production for that. Yeah, so he's been through. When we talk about difficult lives, this
Yeah.
guy's been beaten and molested since he was a child. He didn't know what was going on until they did a sex ed class, and he was in elementary. And then he realized that his mother was doing these terrible things. So you can imagine, this is the person caring for you, and then the teacher just goes off and says, "If this person does this to you, contact the authorities." So it really gave him a frayed view of life, and he's able to explain it to us, the process. And we've been in correspondence with him for a couple years now. And David Childress' story is going to come out. I came up with the title name "No One Cries for David"
Right.
because I felt like it directly applies. When he was arrested, he nobody cried for David.
Right.
All the news hit was this guy killed his mother, threw her in a dumpster with the neighbor, and
They
that
didn't know
was
why.
it. Yeah.
Well,
So
I think at that point it was probably like they didn't want to know why. They just wanted to know that he killed and
yeah,
of course, him being tortured. And I mean, you can only imagine, man, because it's one of those things in life where um what was the that saying they used to say back in the day where it was a stranger danger.
yeah,
And they had to stop saying that because they realized that a lot of the people that were being sexually assaulted were family members, bro. It wasn't They weren't strangers. So but yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, that's something I would definitely love to read
yeah,
and watch.
yeah,
Because I love to read too, man. I mean, you were
yeah.
talking about reading, and for me, elementary school, middle school, comic books, bro. My
Yeah.
dad he used to always buy me comic books, and when I was in middle school, like they had me reading out loud, and I did, and they were like, "Man, like you read pretty well." And I said, "Well, I read a lot," and they're like, "What do you read?" And I'm like, "Comics." And they were like, you know what? So they bumped me up. I think I was in the sixth grade. They bumped me to eighth grade reading, eighth grade math, eighth grade.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. It was one of those things where I mean, at that point, I was in the Edgewood district, man. Not to say anything, but it's just I always stood outside the box, man. I always felt like I was an oddball, just
Yeah.
because. I mean, here, I'm bilingual. I mean, my first primary language was Spanish.
Yeah.
English was something that I learned when I went to elementary, and it's kind of like I guess I always felt off. Like people were kind of like, my first. I'll say this: I was already speaking both languages in elementary, but when I went to first grade, I didn't go to pre-K. The teacher, like, she says my name, Mario. Oh, okay, you know what? Follow me. So I go to the. Oh, she said, you speak Spanish? And I'm like, see, I answered her. So she takes me to another class, and I'm sitting there, and the teacher's like talking in Spanish. And I said, okay, no problem. And she
Yeah.
was like, okay, today we're gonna start learning how to speak English. And I was like, wait a minute, like, yeah, like I was like, I raised my hand, I raised my hand, and I'm like, ma'am, hablo inglés. And she's like, what do you mean? And she's like, and I said, well, I'm bilingual. I speak. And she was like, oh my God, like, no, you're not supposed to be here. So she
Yeah.
took me back to the other teacher, and she was like, oh, I thought because she didn't ask me if I spoke English. She asked me if I spoke Spanish. So I answered her in Spanish, and it was just, but yeah, man. But I love to read, man. And I mean, everything from crime stories to all things horror, bro. Of course, I'm big
Yeah.
buff, dude. So, but yeah, man, I'd be interested in reading about that because, like, right when you said that nobody crashed with David, it just hit me, and I'm like, okay, well, that's because it's just like in the news, they can say, oh, you know what, this guy, he did this, he did that, and the next day they find out you didn't, but they won't talk about it. They'll just put it like this in the bottom, like real small, like, oh, he was found
Yeah.
guilty. I mean, he was found
Update.
innocent.
Update.
There you go, there you
Real
go.
small fine print. Yeah.
Exactly, man. But man, that's great, bro. And I mean, of course, let me ask you because your wife, I mean, of course, she is already making films. I mean,
Yeah.
she went to school.
Yeah.
Did you get into filmmaking like after you met her? Were you kind of like, hey, you know what? I'm interested in doing something like this.
I felt like an oddball for a while, and I bounced around through a lot of different jobs, and I never really hit on anything. I was good at some stuff, but I was never really what I felt um, great at anything, you know.
Yeah.
And when I met my wife Sabrina, she was going through her courses at Los Angeles Film School, and I just peek on the computer and peek on the computer, and then when she was done, I'd go through her old all of her past lessons, and I got a chance to learn lighting. I got a chance to learn promotion of the films, editing, and I mean it took time. It's taken me so far about 3 years, and I'm working on something every day. But I'm the type of person that I can deep dive into something to learn, and I won't get burned out. And for me, film is that. I've been a big fan of film. My parents would rent movies from Blockbuster, Pop and Go, and all the spots. As a kid, we'd have two movies a night, that we were watching. So my weekends, I'd stay home. I played sports. They had me in CYO and other sports, so it would just be practice and stuff, and then back home, and I'd pop in Bloodsport or Dancing with Wolves, and I loved getting a chance to leave where I was at. Not to say that I was in somewhere bad, but being able to empathize with what's
Yeah.
going on in the film, and just for a while, just get a chance to dive into another world was something that I
Oh
felt I
yeah.
wanted to create one day. I wanted to give that feeling and emotion to other people. Blood In, Blood Out was a huge inspiration. American Me, not for the graphicness, but for seeing Latinos on TV and film. We didn't see a bunch of that. All we had was, Eric Estrada on Chips, and there wasn't a lot of brown representation. So that was something that when I got my chance to, I wanted to hit first with some brown pride, with some brown power, and that's what I'm trying to bring together with the American Coyote. I have some hard hitters that have helped me out, and I'm getting a lot of support from the Latin community. And I don't want to do all my films this way. I don't want to be categorized this way. That's not my path. I feel
Right.
like humans, we're all central together. We all need to learn to live peacefully, and that's the only way that we're going to advance.
No,
Um,
sure,
we're,
man.
war is not something that I feel is going to move our progress any further as a species. So my films, I wanted to pick them and show what's going on, but in the end of the day, I want us all unified. I want us all pushing forward together. And the first film, I got a lot of Latin stars on. No One Cries for David. He's half Filipino, half American, and we're gonna have a different typecast there for the next.
Man, can we see Lou Diamond Phillips being cast for that, man?
Yeah, we could try.
There you go.
I reach for the stars, and if they don't answer, it's okay. But a couple years ago, I sent a message to Isai Morales, and I told him, how inspiring he was, and he messaged back. He says, I appreciate you reaching out, little dog, and just know that anything that you want to put your mind to, push forward, and you can do it. And a couple years later, now I have. Some fantastic people helping me.
No,
Panchito Gomez, Robert
sure.
Barrera has collected a bunch of huge talent and stars that he goes on tour with. I'm bringing him for his first role in the film. I got DJ Kane. He's doing his first role in the
I
film.
saw that.
Yeah, we got some other stars coming. I got JJ Fernandez, who's a big star out of Houston, Texas, and here. And I'm trying to build up with a fantastic team, and this Latin culture has really like put an umbrella over me and protected me from a lot of the quicksand that probably hits some of these other folks in films where they just stop. And we've just kept growing and gotten bigger and bigger. And next week, I'll be announcing another star addition to the cast. Who, it's just it's a huge blessing getting these people to join the team. I have Hotel Mars coming up in 2026. 2025, we have a film called The Vaqueros of Hawaii, and we're going to be filming that here in Texas and Hawaii. And that's a story that my buddy Jerry Martinez and I are going to be writing, where he visited Hawaii, Oahu, and some of the islanders there were chatting with him, and they asked, "Hey, did you know about the Hispanic history, y'all's culture here in Hawaii?" He said, "No, no. Like, tell me, let me know. We thirst for that knowledge, right?" And King K at the time in the 1800s was having trouble and issues managing the cattle that had been imported to Hawaii. So
Oh yeah.
he hired the three best cowboys in the world, and at the time they were located in California, which was Mexico,
Right.
and he brought them over to teach the Hawaiians how to be vaqueros of Hawaii.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to get a chance to bridge Hawaii and our Latin culture, but also bring some true history, out,
Right.
and that's something that I feel is it can be easily lost. So in film, it's going to be something that people can see, relate to, laugh with, cry with, and get a chance to be proud of our culture. We've done some fantastic things, some amazing things as Latinos, and I feel like it's time to stand up, and people should take notice. Uh,
No, no, for sure, brother. And I mean, the fact that people like yourself are actually doing this and doing these projects, man, because I've read about that. I've read about exactly that story, man. I've read about that in high school, bro. And it's like I said, I love to read. So when I saw that, I was like, no way, man. And sure
right?
enough, it makes sense because it's like he had horses, and it's like who else to help train and raise them, So that's pretty cool, man. I like that, man. I mean, the fact that you're digging and finding things that a lot of people, I'm sure people watching this are gonna probably look it up now because it's out
Yeah,
there. You can Google it and it'll
yeah,
pop up. And my man, I was gonna ask you, bro. I would love to be able to break this down into two segments, bro, because I've got
sure.
questions galore, bro. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to cut you out. I'm not trying to cut you short. I want to talk to you a little bit outside of this, but
Okay.
but I want to thank you for jumping on this, and we'll definitely bring you back. And because I want to find out about the cast that you have on the movie. I want
Sure.
to find out about the as far as the you and your wife, of course, collaborating and coming up with the production. I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
I got so many questions, man, and the fact that we just talked right now, dude, you got a lot of stuff, a lot to say, and I'm intrigued, bro. I mean, honestly, man, I'm listening.
Yeah. Thanks,
So,
Byron.
but
I'm,
yeah,
I'm, I'm excited to be here, man. And just let me know. I'm open and I'll always here. Always
no, no,
open.
for sure, brother. Don't hang up yet, man, or don't go off yet. But of course, everybody out there, man, this is Spider Coming Soon podcast. Of course, Marcos Davila joining me. Till next time, make sure and follow up, subscribe, follow the man's page, and we'll see you then.
All right.